and then we're going to do paella. Paella! Everyone say, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So everybody, welcome to the Sweet and Savory Classroom virtual Taste of Spain cooking class. This is a great class. We have some fantastic food going on tonight, and a lot of you picked up ingredients, so I'm excited for you on that because my wife made the bread and we got everything else ready, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on. And this is my dessert tray. So it has stuff I need for dessert. This is called mise en place. Mise en place, the French term to mean to put everything in place. So this is all my dessert ingredients measured out, ready to go. This is paella ingredients measured out. Now I'm still going to show you how to cut and chop everything, but things are kind of portioned and ready so that I can just kind of grab and start doing that. So if you haven't done this, you might want to. They'll help you keep up, okay? And then here is the pan a la paella, tomato. Don't my accent, terrible. Cooking good, accent bad. And so there are my ingredients for that. And missing olive oil, but I have that somewhere else. And then, as I've shown you before, you want to look over here. This is my cooking tray, and I definitely encourage all of you to start doing this. I've got, utensils in here, spoons and forks and things. I've got bigger utensils like spoons and tongs and things like that. I keep a couple extra bowls just in case. My salt and pepper guy, paper and notepad, and extra sterno for my burners, and oils in squeeze bottle. So I do that. Again, this tray just stays here. It's always put together. And if you do something like that, it'll help all of your cooking. All right. So now I will reposition my camera, make sure I'm plugged in, and okay. So there we go. Okay. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and start getting some things together. Put some of those people at work. Call the kids off the couch and say, get over here, and start measuring some stuff out, because this is a family affair. And wash your hands really well. You'll get a bunch of feedback. Okay. Wash your hands really well. All right, and wash your hands often. Take one of your sinks or a bowl or a bucket and do some hot soapy water in it and put a towel in it so you can clean your station. Again, I like to do this. We make a commercial sanitizing bucket here. Like I've said in previous classes, you can buy the commercial sanitizer at Costco and at Sam's Club. And you can also follow the directions to use bleach. I'm not a big bleach fan when it comes to sanitizer, because if you measure it just a little bit wrong, then it stains, it'll mess up your clothing. And so that's why I don't like that. And so this is a food safe sanitizer, but some antibacterial like Dawn in a bucket would be great. Those are some of the things you want to set up. So the last thing we're going to do before we get started is let's do as we do, and let's just say a prayer before we get started. And I know I want to thank those of you who encouraged me, who have liked the prayers, and if those of you who don't like the prayers, I understand. I remember the time when I didn't like them either. I remember before I knew the Lord that I was so against it, and but He just kept getting it. He started little by little just putting Himself in my life, and as I got to know Him, I realized how amazing it is to have the Lord Jesus running my life. So again, if you don't want to pray with me, mute me. If you don't, I'm not trying to disrespect you or say like, oh, you're a captive audience and I get to evangelize to you. Hey, I'm totally cool if you mute me for a minute, don't want to participate. I will respect that, and it's totally fine. But I'm praying, Lord. Wow, another great day that you have blessed us with. Even though there's lots of things going on that we can't control. What we can control is our relationship with you, and what we can control is the peace in our hearts. And so, Father, I pray that all those out there, that your finances are doing okay, because I know it can be a struggle right now. I pray that your family is healthy, and I pray that a vaccine is on its way, or at least a really good treatment. And I pray that we can safely all get back to work. I mean, I'm working, and I know some of you aren't. I pray that we can all safely get back to work, so that we can provide for ourselves and our families and put food on the table. And and just get that joy and that satisfaction that comes from work. Yeah, work gives us more than money. Work gives us a satisfaction that is so nice. So I just pray that you're in all the lives of the people that are with us tonight, Father, and that we can just do this together. So thank you so much. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, let's start cooking. Oh, y'all ready to start cooking? I am. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to start heating up your grill pan. Some of you might not have a grill pan, and I understand that. So here's my flame. My flame is on, y'all, and I have my grill pan on. If you don't have a grill pan, don't worry. If you don't have a grill pan, this will go a little bit. Okay. I'm totally messing you up right now. Turn your grill pan off for just a second, or turn it on low. Let's do that. Okay, let's turn your grill pan on low. So I'm gonna move mine over to the side, and I'm gonna turn my grill pan on nice and low as your burner will go, so it can start warming up. And then we're gonna start cutting a few things. So if you can see my ingredients right here. There you go. All right, we're cooking. Let's do this. I'll stop talking and we'll start cooking. I've got my cherry tomatoes right here, and I've got some rosemary. This piece of garlic, don't cut it. This piece of garlic, just leave it sit aside. We have some of this Spanish bread that I'm already full on because my wife made it, and I ate a bunch yesterday with the kids and had some this morning with toasted with peanut butter and banana and honey. So good. Okay. So Dawn, if you don't have a grill pan, use any pan you want to. Use a non-stick pan, use a cast iron pan, use whatever you want to. You can just pan sear the bread. If you have like a griddle, like a flat griddle, that's fine too. So anything that can get really hot, it will serve the purpose tonight. Okay. So for the rest of us, what we want to do is we want to take your cherry tomatoes and you want to cut them up. So we're going to cut them into half and then cut them in the corners. So cut them in half and then cut them in quarters. All right, so let's start prepping. I'm going to cut my stuff and you can cut yours. If you have got questions, we'll continue to try to answer those. All right. How thick for the bread slice? Oh, and whatever bread you have, just use whatever bread you have. I'd like your bread to be at least half an inch thick. So mine's probably, so I measure by like, it's almost a knuckles width. So that should be good. You know, I would not go thin. You want your bread to be thicker rather than thinner so that we can get some really good grilling on it. Okay. So just get that out of the way. What other questions? If we only have dry rosemary, what should we do? You can still use your dry rosemary just the same, Robert. Use your dry rosemary just the same as as regular, and so you'll put on at the same time. We'll do the same things with it, okay? Now, what you're noticing is I'm able to look up and answer questions while I'm cutting. Isn't that pretty cool? Those of you who came to Knife Skills, hey, if you came to Knife Skills and you're in class today, give us a shout out and let us know how it's helping you, because we're already able to do a couple of things together. So, oh yes, look at that. Okay, fantastic. Now, when your tomatoes get cut, we're gonna want to probably put them in a bowl. So grab a bowl, and so we can put them in there when you're done. They don't have to be perfect by any means. My cuts are not perfect either. Oh, I feel the warmth from my grill pan getting hot. Feels good. Okay, so there's that. And grab a bowl. So I'm going to take all my tomatoes, put them in a bowl. Again, if you like olives and you want to add olives to yours, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that right now. I wouldn't mind. But I'm going to keep mine true to the recipe so that no one gets confused. And then I'm going to go ahead and wipe my knife down, wipe my cutting board down, and let's get to the rosemary. So the rosemary, this is from my garden at home, so it's kind of cool. And I'm going to strip the rosemary off of the hard stem. And you're wondering, like, can you use the stem? Well, here's how you tell if you can use a stem or not. So if the stem is soft enough to eat, so you can take a little piece and put it in your mouth, and it's not really chewable. Okay? So you're looking for two things. Is the stem soft enough to eat, and does it have flavor? So if you did that with cilantro, you'd have lots of flavor and it's soft enough to eat. So you could use stem for certain things. For us, it does. For the rosemary, it's not good. But you could use it as an aromatic. You could toss it into, like, I guess you could toss it into the pan, the grill pan, and let it burn. And as it burns, the smoke is going to bring you some flavor. So you know what? Let's do that. I'm going to hold on to that just for that reason, so we can do that. Now the rosemary is, so we want to get the rosemary small. So the way you get something small is you first roll it up into a ball, get it all nice and tight into a ball. And then you take your knife and cut it as small as you can the first time through. I'm just barely shaving, barely shaving the rosemary, because I'm probably going to cut it through one time. That's my goal. Oh, I lost control there. Get it back together. Cut it small the first time through. There we go. Now, I know a lot of people, they go back and they turn their knife and they do this guy, right? Don't do that. Don't bruise all this beautiful rosemary by doing that. You should get it small. If you need to cut it a little smaller, you can always bunch it up and turn it, hold on to it, and cut through again. But mine was really good the first time. I really don't need to go back through it the second time that I'm doing, just kind of showing you that part. Now I've got my rosemary and my tomatoes all cut up. Again, the garlic, leave the garlic alone. Just leave it as it is. Take this rosemary and move it off to the side. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cutting board. So you'll see a little secret that when you're using your cutting board, make sure you put something else, something like a wet towel or wet paper towel underneath it to keep it from sliding. I'm going to go ahead and move that out of the way for a moment. And move my grill pan in. All right. So there we go. Now my grill pan, this is a Lodge manufacturing company. Cast iron grill pan. I love Lodge. You'll know this if you spend any time with me. I love Lodge as a company. They're so great to work with, and then their products are fantastic to cook with. And I'm not getting paid to say that. Okay. So I just love them. Now Lodge is sponsoring 3 classes with us. We're doing a 3-part cast iron series called Nothing But Iron that starts. It'll start beginning of June, I believe. And so, Nick, you're asking what's my favorite dish to make? No, it just depends, man. It really just depends. And if green or black olives, for this one, green would be great. So I like cooking a lot, but I love anything with a dough. We did pizza class earlier, and so worked with the dough, and that was a lot of fun. And so, Betty, if you're adding olives, do they go right in with the tomatoes? Absolutely, put them right in there. Okay, and so Carol says, tell you about the Spanish bread. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a really simple bread. It's just like a rustic. It's almost like a little bit softer than a French baguette. And maybe I'll get my wife to do a class on it. So let me think about that. Maybe I'll get my wife to do a class on that. So if you have a grill pan, if you have a grill pan, then you want to. I've been heating it, long and slow. That's how cast iron. That's the best way to use cast iron. Is if you put it on high heat, you'll get like a hot spot right here in the center, and you don't want a hot spot. So what you want is for the pan to start getting hot all the way through. Oh yeah, see, that's hot. And my handle's warm all the way to right here. Like it's not hot, quite hot about right there. It's hot about right there. and it's still warm all the way through. That means the heat is dispersed, and that's what's great about cast iron, is once you get the heat there, then it stays, and you can control it and actually turn your heat down and get a really great finished product. So I'm going to flip that around so I have a little bit of control of the handle. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. There we go. My pan is smoking. You might see a little bit of smoke. Can you see smoke in the screen, Ted? No, not too well. Okay. So I have a brush. You don't have to have a brush. You can use your fingers. And so I'm going to take my bread. So look over here to my side. And I'm going to take the bread. And I'm going to drizzle some olive oil on it. I'm using a good quality extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to brush that in. If you don't have a brush, just use your finger. Fingers work just fine. Okay, look, I'll do some fingers so we can do it together. All righty. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then grab my salt and pepper. So a little salt. Because bread either needs two things. Well, it's a couple things. It either needs peanut butter on it, it needs butter on it, or it needs salt on it. One or all three. That's even better. I'll go a little bit of pepper. And I'm going to go ahead and put half of the rosemary on it. So I'm going to put the other half on the other side. And press it in. Press it in. And then take the side that has the rosemary on it. It seems really bright. There. Take the side that has the rosemary on it. And once you put it into your pan, and here. You hear that sound? You hear the sizzle? Okay. That's what you want to hear. I'm pressing it down. Okay. You know, I didn't think about it, but you could flip your grill on outside, and you could be doing this on your grill outside. How amazing would that be right now? So I had an idea actually during this coronavirus time, so like doing like some exclusive outdoor cooking classes in some like really kind of neat locations. And I didn't do it yet, but hey, if that sounds like fun, I thought about like there's a couple of cool places in town that I think we could go in Chattanooga, and do like an outdoor cooking class. Now, like my fourth piece, it just won't fit, y'all. I'm just gonna have to wait on that. I put all my pieces in there and press down. You hear I hear the sizzle. All right, now go get you a plate. I'm gonna go get me a plate too. All right, I get a pair of tongs. I mean, I'm not going to use tongs probably, but you might want to use tongs. Oh, and here's that piece of rosemary. That piece of rosemary, I'm just stick it right in there. Just let it burn. And let it smoke, either just for something for you to smell, and maybe the smoke will kind of give some flavor as well to the rest. But while you're doing that side, okay, I'm going to have you put some olive oil on this side. Is everyone tracking? If you want to let me know in the Q&A, definitely do. Let me know you're doing well, tracking with me. Put a little more oil on there. Really can't have enough olive oil on bread. No, that should be part of the list too. A little salt, a little pepper, and then the rest of my rosemary. Okay. Press it in. Now, I'm going to teach you how to make nice grill marks. Everyone put your hand out like this. Okay, put your hand out. See if I can get my hand. And then when you're going to take it and you're going to just kick your elbow out to 90 degrees. Okay, that's how you do your grill mark. You come and you grab something here, and then you just kick your elbow out to 90. You'll see what I'm about to do. So ready? Let me get one of these out of the way. So I'm going to come in underneath, and then I'm just going to kick my tongs are there. All right. You on? There you go. And you just take this and you go to 90. Press it in. This one too. Here. And just move it 90 degrees. Check our first grill mark. Oh yeah, looking good. Get this guy back on there. Put him in and press him down. The first side, the top side, the first side we put down will always look the best. And then the back side never looks as good. That's just how it is. So spend your time getting the nice, pretty grill marks on the top side, and then the bottom side, I wouldn't worry about it. But our goal is to get the bread crispy on that side. And I'll show you why in a few minutes. So get the bread crispy on that first side. Now, another thing about grill marks is when you first put whatever you want to get grill marks on, you should put it down and press it and leave it alone. If you keep moving it, then you won't have these pretty grill marks. If you keep checking it, you won't have pretty grill marks. So you kind of need to set it and forget it for a minute and then go back and check it. Because once you pick it up, it won't ever really go back down in the exact same spot. So you'll get these like wave in your grill marks. But like I'm not getting really pretty grill marks on that. Let's see, am I going to get some on? Yeah, I got one side of the grill mark. I guess I'm disappointed that I didn't get like nice cross marks, but I'm gonna press down on this side too. It's a little hot. Use my tongs. Oh, yeah, definitely getting some smoke. And we're gonna get this this other side just a little bit cooked, a little crispy. So we doing okay? Okay, lean back out of that smoke. Is everything going good on your side? So let me know. It's gonna be great. We're gonna be eating so soon, and you should just be excited just for that, because typically we don't eat that soon in the class. So cheers to you. Wow, Ted, that's really interesting. Good. Like some sweet honey. It's like some dark honey like finish on that. Okay. So I'm gonna pull. This is my bread is done. I'm gonna pull it out. There's a good spot that you can see. Oh yeah, that cobbler you're talking about. Let's see. This one's gonna go in. I'm gonna get some nice grill marks on this guy. Pressing it in. I'm gonna finish this other piece. You might have multiple pieces that you're doing too, so I'll give you a chance to do that. Salt, pepper, save a little rosemary for you, meaning for this piece of bread. All right. Now I'm gonna take this garlic. We're about ready to eat. T-minus 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. Okay. There's a little bit of cross mark for us. Okay, I'm going to turn my grill pan off. That piece of bread is almost done, so I'm just going to slide it out of your view so I can show you how we finish this up. So you've got your bread, and this is the secret about the garlic. I learned this. I've not been to Spain yet, but when I do a new class, I like to research, and one of the things I found them do a lot is they take a cheese grater and they would grate like the onions and things, and it just opens up all the surface area. But they also do things like this, like take garlic, and now if your bread is like, just listen. You hear the crispiness, okay? That's what you want. You want to hear the crispiness, because you're going to take this piece of garlic and I want you to rub it. The bread should act like sandpaper. You're going to get this beautiful, it smells great, invisible layer of garlic all over it. You look how it's rubbed my garlic almost in half now. Okay, do this other piece here. Just keep going. The garlic's just getting smaller and smaller. It's turning into like a little nub. Oh, barely have any left. Hey, at home, everyone just get a piece of cut the garlic in half if you need to. Everybody should be doing this right now. Like, don't just sit around drinking, letting one person do all the work. I'm serious. Like, get everybody involved. This is how the cooking classroom started. Just doing parties at my house, like with friends, and we would just all we would just all cook together. My wife was like, "You gonna get the food ready before they get here?" I'm like, "No, I just set up cutting boards, and when they get here, we'll cook and we'll talk and we'll eat and we'll drink, and that's how like this the classroom began. So look, I have almost no garlic left, and you can keep doing it if you want more and more garlic on there. But then you're gonna take your tomatoes. I'm gonna put just a touch of olive oil on those guys and give them a toss. Now, if you did get some olives out, I commend you. I commend you. A little salt on these guys. Okay. And then grab a spoon. See, it's so convenient having like utensils and stuff close by. And you just sprinkle some. You back on? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Sorry about that, y'all. Audio kicked off for a second. But yeah, if you're at home, like this is just take your tomatoes and just put them on here. And if you did the olives, again, more power to you. We're just keeping this one nice and simple for today. Sometimes that's what food is. It's just simple. Now, I have my plate. I'm just going to take 2 pieces, go like that. Then I'm going to take a little olive oil and drizzle it up. And I think, where did I put it? Oh, down here. I had a little bit of rosemary left, just for a little sprinkle on top. All right, and you gotta go with it. That's it. Okay, I know there might be a lot of you cooking, so some of you still might be on the grill, and that's just fine. I'm gonna plate one up for Ted, and we're gonna eat right now. So let me see how you're doing. Raise your hand, and let me know. Raise your hand so we can share your videos, and I can see what you're doing, and let's eat together. So I'd love to have a bunch of you just share your video with us. Raise your hand when your appetizer is done. Ted's gonna put you up, and then we're gonna eat this together right now with a drink, and then we'll cook some other stuff in a few minutes. Okay. So get your station cleaned up, and wash your hands again because you ate. Right. Wash your hands. Sanitize your station. Drink some bourbon. What's that? Yeah. I mean, if you're pouring, Ted. Smells great. You want to see what we're drinking? That's what we're drinking right there. Just a little bit. Thanks, Ted. All right. So move this out of the way. Yes. Y'all ready to start doing dessert? I mean, who wouldn't want to do dessert right now? And that's just for general cooking. This is what we found to be the process that works really well at the classroom. Is we have to do dessert before the entree, because, well, as soon as you do the entree and you eat, you just want to sit down and do nothing, and so that doesn't help. And what batch? You're asking what batch of whiskey that? Oh, you're doing okay. Ted's typing up the batch in the. He's answering your question.
Just unmute myself. It's batch 12. It was finished in a mead barrel, so definitely a fan of it.
Yeah. Good.
Really good like honey notes at the end.
Yeah, like okay. If you're wondering if you've ever had Zarbee's, right? If you ever had yeah, that might be the case. If you ever had Zarbee's, like dark the kids stuff you give the kids, the cold syrup, the dark with dark honey, the nighttime stuff, that's what it tastes like at the end. If you know what I'm talking about, just hit me in the Q&A, and we have someone come to the door. So Ted's at the door right now. Okay, so here we are. We have your egg. So we're gonna make some egg wash, and then I just have to say my prediction was true. It was my prediction. It was spot on. It was spot on. Are you gonna give her all the stuff? Okay. Yeah, do a little double check on that. Okay. So here we go. You got your egg, and then we've got some sugar in the raw right here, and then you have cinnamon, and you have cayenne pepper, and then there's some extra stuff on here, just depending on what you have. Okay. So you can definitely just use a knife if you want to. We can use an offset spatula if you'd like. I'm gonna use this to cut some things, and a brush. And so we're gonna start off by going to the freezer and get your puff pastry. So I'm gonna head to the freezer right now and get my puff pastry. Head to your freezer and get your puff pastry. If you need to ask me something, ask in the Q&A, because that's what I can see right now in the Q&A. So go get your puff pastry right now, like right now. Okay, so here's my puff pastry, and we're not doing a lot. We're just doing just a few accent, really. It's like an accent for dessert. And so take your puff pastry and sit it on the table, and let it start to just warm up a little bit. Okay. And then from there, and Ted, here is some oil for two things. You can steal those. From there, we're gonna let that just kind of thaw. Then you're gonna take your egg and we're gonna crack it. You won't need this whole egg, but that's what you got. Crack it, take a fork, and whisk it. And whisk it. And then put just like a splash of water in it. So I'm going to put a splash of water in it. I'm back. Are you back with your splash of water? There we go. All right. This is a little bit of egg wash. So we have our egg wash, and you have your puff pastry. The puff pastry won't take long to thaw out, so I'm going to move it and just get it to a warmer spot. And it doesn't take long. You don't want to move around too much and break it. This is where an offset spatula would come in really handy. Because you're going to take your Nutella. So I have Nutella right here. I have the cinnamon, and I have the cayenne. Okay. So I'm going to take some cinnamon. I'm going to sprinkle some cinnamon right on top. Okay. Okay, the puff pastry. So the question is, how long do the pastries last? You're thinking about making a double batch. Absolutely make a double batch. Put them in the freezer. You can make a really long, big batch of these, and then just put them in the freezer, and literally you have friends come over, you just want one, you can just pull it out, cut one off, and bake it. So and it'll last for several months in the freezer. And as long as you wrap it really well, I would suggest wrapping it in parchment paper, and then plastic wrap really well so that it'll hold. So there's some cinnamon. You can use cinnamon to your to your desire. I like cinnamon. So I'm just pinching it off. And then I have a little bit of cayenne. We're going to add a little flair to it. Now, after you touch the cayenne, you find, all in one spot. Move right around. Just a light sprinkle of cayenne on it. After you've touched the cayenne, you probably want to wash your fingers off. After that, you've got your Nutella. Take your Nutella. See, my puff pastry is getting perfect right now. There should be one wrapped up in there. Do you see if it wasn't already in the bag? Oh, no, I'm lying. That is it. Okay. Let's give her a couple of those pieces. You can give her a couple of those pieces. So somebody came, just so you know what's going on. Somebody came to the door to pick up their ingredients for class tonight. They thought the class was tomorrow. But the class is going on right now. So Ted's just finishing putting together her ingredient package, and I guess she'll watch the video. So your Nutella, don't leave any white space. See how I can see the white? You want to make sure it's nice and covered. Give her 2. Now, there's going to be a little extra Nutella. Just eat it. Why not? Okay. Cover it all up. See that? See this? They're gonna come together. Ted said to me after the last class, he's like, you you didn't used to do this kind of like lick my own stuff when we were in class, but because there's a bunch of people here we were sharing with, but it's just mine now. So we might as well eat some. I mean, it's Nutella. And there's nothing better than Nutella, other than putting peanut butter with it. Okay. Now, I'm going to set this aside for just a second so I can show you the fold we're going to do. We're going to do the palmier fold. So here's a piece of paper. I'm going to show you. I've got Nutella on the table there. I'm going to get it. So the palmier fold is basically, think about like, here, I'll even draw a line down the middle for you. It's like this. And you have the middle. And so the middle, you're gonna fold this over to, you would fold it over halfway, like, or a quarter, I should say, and then you'd fold it over halfway towards the center. And then you take this side and you fold it over a quarter. Then you fold it over halfway, and you get to the middle, right? And then you fold it up, and then look like that on the inside. Okay. And then what will happen is we'll cut them. We'll cut slices, and it's also called the elephant ear, right? It's also called the elephant ear. And so we're gonna do that with our puff pastry. So they saw it once that way. All right, and so we're gonna, with mine though, we're not gonna fold it necessarily, we're gonna roll it. So pick the middle, I'm gonna draw a line in the middle and get a little messy. There's my middle line. And so I'm gonna turn it this way so it's easier to do. So I'm gonna roll. Now my fingers are messy. So I'm gonna clean my fingers and try to keep them clean so that it produces a really pretty outside. So there. I'm going to roll it to the middle. And I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to take this side. I'm going to roll it, and roll it up. Now I've got it all rolled up, and it should look like that. 2 rolls. What are those Swiss cake rolls? Like this looks like you open a package of Swiss cake rolls and you just look at them like, come on now. You know what Swiss cake rolls are. I love them. And I'm also gonna flatten it just a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna push it, not a lot, kind of push it down a little bit, and then we're gonna try. The ideal way to do this would stick it in the freezer for a couple of minutes, but we're not going to do that right now. Hopefully, we're going to be able to cut through this. This is where a small serrated knife would be your friend, but any sharp knife will do, like a chef's knife will do. But here's the tip about it is if you press the knife downward, it's just going to squeeze and rip everything apart. So the knife needs to slide back and forth with no downward pressure, just lightly cut basically as lightly as a feather as you could cut as possible. But before we do that, if you use a brush if you want to, but I know a lot of you don't have a brush, just take your fingers, dip it in the egg. Okay, dip it in the egg, and actually, I forgot to do a part. Open this up, and right there, where there's exposed puff pastry, put some egg right there, so that when you close this, it'll cook, it'll seal that closed. And then cover the rest of it with egg. Okay. Wash your hands a little bit. I'm that goo off. Then I'm gonna, look how many you can get out of this. I'm gonna lightly, gently, not even putting any pressure, just sawing more instead. And see how my fingers are right here, holding it from, keeping it from bending out. There's one. Now, for a nice, clean looking finished product, see all that goo that's on my knife? Wipe it off before you do the next one. So let me show you what happens if you don't wipe the goo off. Okay, so I'm gonna make this terrible so you can see. So as you cut more and more, the goo will just pile up on the sides like that. And that's what will happen. If I keep cutting, the goo will pile up. And then watch what happens when I start cutting downward. Look at the goo on the edge. Okay, you got this, got the goo, you know, the Nutella on the edge of your pastry, making it look dirty when it's done. We don't want to make it look dirty. That's why in between each cut, you wipe it off. And that's the same if you're cutting a cake or any other sort of pastry. We'll get 3 more out of it. 1, wipe it off. 2, 3. Okay? So, there you go. Now, they're sticking a little bit to my table. Turn your oven on to 375. 375. Let's do that. And turn your oven on to 375 degrees. And we're going to get these baking in just a minute. Baking, not bacon. I know it sounds like bacon. I had all of you even more super excited. Bacon would be great on this, actually. Now you're going to take these little guys and get some space. Put them on a piece of on a baking sheet with parchment. Again, if you don't have parchment, if you have pan spray, that'd be a really great second line. You could pan spray this, or just use some oil. Put some oil on like this, and rub it. Okay. And then I have parchment. As I said, I love parchment. And so you're going to put these on here. You need to spread them out because they're going to grow. Puff pastry puffs. Right? And so put them on. Give them some. We'll do the alternate like that. Give them some space. And then take your sugar in the raw. So what's nice about, well, let me tell you a little, you want to learn a little bit about sugar in the raw? So sugar in the raw is, so when they take sugar cane and they actually they'll actually squeeze, they'll put the cane roots or stalks through rollers, and they'll like squeeze all the, a lot of the sugar out of them, and then they'll boil them too, and they'll boil them and they'll get all of the sugar out of them from boiling them. And then they take the sugar syrup, basically it's a sugar syrup, and they will, after they'll boil it, they'll cook it, and they'll put it in like a centrifuge, and they'll spin it, right? And as they spin it, some of the sugar starts to like fly off to the sides, and it'll leave behind, the first time they do that, it'll leave behind a black goo that we call blackstrap molasses. And so that's where that comes from. It comes from the first processing of the sugar. And then whatever they have left, they'll take the sugar and they'll heat it back up again, and then they'll spin it again, almost like they're making cotton candy, if you've seen that before. And then during the second time, when they spin it, you'll get molasses. And so basically all the impurities that come off of the sugar cane, they found a use for it. First was blackstrap molasses. The second is molasses. And then when they do it the third time, the sugar becomes white. And that's what we're used to as like the white refined sugar, where they basically removed all the dirt and all the impurities from it. Now, this one is This is from the second, the sugar in the raw is from the second processing where the molasses came off. So there's still some impurities left in there, and that's what gives you that molassesy-like taste, because that's what the molasses is that the kind of bitter impurities from the sugar cane that's still left. You're going to take some of that and just sprinkle it on top. And what's kind of neat about this sugar is because it hasn't been refined as much, it's a little bit more durable. Meaning when you bake it, it's not going to just melt into nothing. Refined sugar, when you bake it, a lot of times it just kind of melts and you don't even know it's there. But sugar in the raw will hold some of its shape and keep some of the crystals so that when it's done, you have this crunch factor on top. And that's why I like using it. I'm using a lot of things as just a little addition for crunch factor at the end. Okay. So it's done. You know what? I have a little cinnamon left. I don't think that hurt. Why not? There we go. As soon as the oven comes to temperature, we'll put these in and we'll bake them. So y'all seem kind of quiet tonight, so let me know how you doing. Are you did you get this done? Do you have any questions? Can I help you in any way? I'm ready and available for it. So Patty, question is, for the Trizo, we have dry uncured. You can use this. Let me move this over just a little bit. I can't see the whole sentence. How much by weight should we slice and use in the pan? You're probably you're cooking for 2 people, for you and Jim. Probably 3 ounces will be plenty. And any other questions? I think I answered all the rest of the questions, Ted. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to get cleaned up and we're getting ready to start prepping for our paella. So Patty, you said you assume it needs less cooking. Yeah, the sausage, we're just going to brown the sausage. So I wouldn't worry. That's all we're going to do. And Jim, should we use our cast iron pan for the paella? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just Ted asked a grill, no, not a grill pan, just a cast iron pan for the paella. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. It'd be perfect. All right. If you have this extra egg, put that into a container, put it in your fridge, and have it for brunch tomorrow morning. Because tomorrow morning at my house, we're going to be making bacon and eggs and I don't know what else. And I'd invite you over, but we're quarantined. I'm sorry, can't have you over. But tomorrow I'm cooking breakfast for the kiddos and me. I'm gonna put this in the fridge. Oh, and my wife. I will be cooking for my wife too. She's just, since we're married and we are one, she's just always included. The kids, maybe not always, not so much, because sometimes if they make you mad, you can just squash them and start over. Right, parents? Can I get an amen? Just kidding. I love my kids, and I'm not going to squash them and start over. All right, so that one. Okay, now that it worked out successfully, I have to tell you, this is another confession. Maybe we should have a confessional here and be like, excuse me, Father, please, for I've sinned. I just made that recipe up for this class. There you have it. Do you think I tested it beforehand? I did not. So that's how that one. We used to have a different dessert. It was a very complicated dessert. Too much to do for the time frame we have together without help. So I changed the dessert to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And that actually, you can make a bunch of those and just keep them around for a long time. So that you can put different things in them. It's a great little thing to do with the kids, just to make a little kind of a quick, like dessert type of snack. Alrighty, I'm getting cleaned up. You should be getting cleaned up too, because it's time to start doing your paella. So Jennifer, is the dessert in the oven? Not yet. Mine isn't. My dessert is not in the oven. It is sitting right here because my oven has not beeped that it's ready yet. But it's going to beep in less than a minute or two. I'm getting cleaned up. I'm going to get ready for the next thing, which is paella. Yes, Jim, it is going to be a yummy breakfast. I love having breakfast with my kids. I'll probably have some fruit. Tomorrow morning, I'm teaching my 4-year-old can cut like a champ with a knife. I think I've probably told a few that she's like a little machine with a knife. She cuts all the strawberries and any berries we have. She's the cutter. What else does she cut? Mostly berries. But my 5-year-old, she's jealous now. She was never interested before, but she's jealous now, and she wants to learn how to cut. Tomorrow morning, we're going to have a little knife skills lesson at the house. So Angie, what does flip trays for 3 to 5 minutes in a dessert recipe? Okay, so that's a really good question in the dessert recipe. Yeah, do not flip it upside down. Bad idea. So a lot of times you have like more than one rack in the oven. You have like the actual oven shelves, and then sometimes you have more than one tray in the oven. Like might have two cookie sheets in the oven. So we call it flip and spin. So when you're baking, the rules of baking that I've learned from my wife is you wait. Okay, let me get that in the camera. So you wait till you see brown. Right here. You wait till you see brown on edge before you flip it around. Wait to see brown before you flip it around. So meaning when you set a timer for what you think would be an estimate of about halfway through the baking process. So these will probably take 12 minutes maybe, depending. It might be a little more, a little less. And so I'm going to set a timer for about 4 to 5 minutes so I can check them. And flipping means you pull it out of the oven and you spin it around. So you flip it or you spin it and then you flip it, meaning you take, if there's 2 trays, I would take this one, pull it out and put it on the top shelf and take the one from the bottom, get my other hand, take one from the bottom and put it, I'd switch them. So they would go like this. So we flip and spin so that you get even cooking and even browning. And so we do that on a regular basis with stuff in the oven. Okay? And so these are going to go in the oven. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer. 5 minutes. And like I've said, all of you need to be setting your timers. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Set your timers. Don't forget. First rule of the kitchen that we have here is if you set a timer, you always set timers is the first rule. And the second is if you turn a timer off, you better darn well know what that timer is for, and you're responsible for the food. I can't stand it. For those of you, I'm going to vent to you right now. For those of you who come to my classroom and you turn off timers and then you don't check you don't know what it's for and things start to burn, you stress me out all the time. 28 people in the room turning off my timer. My head's about to start talking too.
It's true. We had an entire tray of bacon get burnt to a crisp. Not a good crisp.
It was terrible. Yeah. And so if you turn off the timer, if you can't stand the beeping, you need to check it. You're responsible for whatever food that timer was set for. Okay. I feel better. Now, let's get set up for paella. Here's what you need. Cutting board. Always put something else, something underneath it. Okay. I have my my wet towel, cutting board. Use wet paper towel. Use whatever. I use some shelf liner sometimes, the rubber stuff, like a little rubber pad. So put that there, and then let me get my paella tray. Here's my paella tray. Now, I have done a couple of things. Let's see, that's about the best. Can I get any more in that camera? All right, so I've organized my tray so that things that need cut are over here. Things that don't need cut are over there. Now, I did already dice my chicken. That was something I was just in the mood, and so I diced all my chicken up. For those of you who bought ingredients from us, the recipe called for chicken thighs. It gave you chicken breast because there's still limits. Getting food sometimes is hard. So I would have needed 2 packages of chicken thighs from Sam's Club, but they're limiting to 1. So I got chicken breast so I could get more weight. I could get enough for everybody. Okay, that's what I'm dealing with. That's what I'm dealing with. Are you going crazy trying to find stuff? I got a friend with 8 kids, and they can only get like 1 gallon of milk. So we've been helping them get we can order some things from purveyors, but I wasn't gonna order a 40-pound box of chicken just for this class because I'm only gonna use like 3 pounds. So that's why I was getting Sam's Club. But so we've ordered them like a whole box of chicken, a whole case of chicken, those kind of things. I'll just quit talking. Let's start cooking. And all right, so here we're gonna start with your parsley. So we'll do I guess you can learn a little bit of knife skills along the way. And so here, just like we did earlier, you can check your stems. Now, parsley stems, if you're interested, take a little piece off, give it a chew. You could use it, but here's what you want. Now, I'm eating it. It's decently edible. I don't think I really want to, but I could chew through it so it has flavor. I can chew through it so I could use it, right? Okay. But we're using this for garnish. So because we're using it for garnish, I want to get rid of any of the big pieces of stem. So I'm going to just take my fingers, make a little cage, and you grab and you pull. And you're left with just this parsley that we need. Okay. Do that a few times. Actually, I should put my knife in a safe zone, which is right there. Okay, I get my parsley. Some of the parsley will go in the dish, but for the most part, if you're making a stock or something later, you can take that and save it and give some aromatic, give some flavor and some smell to your stock. But I'm not really going to use it, so I'm going to set it aside. Now, take your parsley, and just like the rosemary, this is the cool thing. I think I want to keep. I guess I'll probably never stop saying about cooking, about the classes and things that we teach. Is when you see something repeat, I want you to see that. I want to just reiterate again and again that like some of the principles that help you be successful while you're cooking. And so one of the principles is how we talked about earlier, getting something small. So you want to take your parsley, timer, pause. There's my first timer. Let's check the oven. Ted, you happen to be perfect timing over here. Okay. It's like you planned it. Yes, you did. So, ooh, and it's starting to smell good. Let's pull them out and let's check them. Okay, do you see any brown? Negative. I don't see really any browning. Check. Ooh, they're sticking to the bottom a little bit. Okay, I'm good. I want to make sure the bottom's not burning. If it is, I will flip them over. I typically don't want to flip them over. But if your chocolate, so let's take a look at the bottom there. Okay. If your chocolate starts to get some color to it, like black color, you don't want that bitterness. So you would flip them over. But I would try to avoid it if we can. And so here's another way we could try to avoid the bottoms getting black. Just a second. Now so you can double pan it. So I'm going to double pan mine. You know, and if you don't have like half, this is a half sheet pan. Baking sheets are, like cookie sheets are okay, but half sheet pans give you a lot more versatility. They're larger, deeper sides, and they work better for the oven and for a lot of things that we do. So there's something you might want to think about investing. I'm gonna go a double pan. What end up happening, there'll be a little air gap in there because the pans don't completely touch. And so you'll get a little air gap, and that will help prevent the bottoms from burning. But we're not ready to turn these around because there's no brown. So I'll be looking for signs of brown around the edges, and since there is none, I'm not ready to flip it around. I'm going to put in for another 3, and then we'll check it. Okay, there we go. Now, we have our parsley. So we're going to take our parsley, and we are going to roll it up into a ball, get it small. And then then we're going to here, and you're going to slide the knife. Make sure you slide the knife. Versus going up and down, that's the up and down motion. That's just going to bruise it. We don't want to do that. So you want to slide, slide, slide. I'm going to go all the way through to the end. This one I will cut again. I want it to be nice and fine. Here's the other thing about your herbs. You should wash them first. I had already washed this, and if it's wet, it doesn't work really well. So you want to make sure. And so this is what you could do. Ted, stay right there. I should have showed you this earlier. This is not ideal to do once you've cut it. It's much easier to do it before you've cut it. But just to show you, if your parsley is really wet, it won't give you a really nice garnish. So you want to take it, put it in a paper towel. Actually, mine has a little bit of wetness, and you want to dry it. Just roll it up tight, squeeze it. Look at all that moisture coming out of it. Can you see? Just squeeze it. There you go. The drier it is, the longer it will last in your fridge. Also, you can keep it in a container, but also the better it will garnish. So there we go. And better to do before you've sliced it up, but there you have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and pinch it together as tight as I can again. Get as small as you can, and then cut it as small as you can. Make sure it's sliding through the knife, sliding through. Can you just hear that? That's the sound of a knife sliding on the cutting board. There we go. When I get to the end, see, I just let go. No sense in letting your fingers get cut just because of a little piece of parsley at the end. And I'm going to put this in a cup. And we're just going to go through all of our prep work right now. So there's parsley. Then you have peppers, like I've shown you before. Oh, timer. Ted, are you going to check that timer? You know what it's for? Better not turn it off, Ted. Okay. Looking good. Still really no browning that I'm looking for. So I'm putting them back in. Take them longer to cook than I thought since they're small. I thought they cooked pretty fast. Even I get it wrong. Every once in a while, cooking will make you feel like a beginner again. And right now, I feel like a beginner because I thought it'd be already browning by now. Well, that's a quote from a book. I don't know whose book it was, but every once in a while, cooking will make you feel like a beginner again. I mean, you'd be cooking good for months, years, and then next thing, one day, you're like, I just torched something. You can smell the burn, and it just happened. So take your so right now, we're going to start cutting our pepper. Take your seed out. Take a spoon and just scrape. Just a safe, easy way to take some of the bitter inside out. And then you always want to keep your cutting board clean. We're going to dice this up. So you have, here's the skin, and here's the flesh. You always want to put the skin side down. It's much easier for your knife to cut through it. And we want to be pretty small on this one. A nice fine dice for this guy. Slide that off, pick it up, turn it 90 degrees, and then cut across. Make it nice and small. I love the smell of peppers when they're cutting. The peppers, slide that one to the side. We'll get the other one. Those of you who bought ingredients from us, thank you for doing that. That is definitely, we make the price of the class pretty low. And I know the price of the class has changed some, and some of you might be wondering why the price of the class has changed. We are trying to keep the price nice and low during this, COVID time, so that that the whole family can join in. You can do it a lot, and a lot of you have done it a lot. But we jumped into it pretty fast. I mean, heck, we didn't know what we were doing. We jumped into it pretty fast. I had no idea that actually doing these classes costs. There's a cost to it for us. And so by the time we basically have had to raise prices a little bit because the software, the staff, the food, the credit card processing. I mean, they take half of it anyways. The credit card processing companies. And so we've had to raise prices a little bit. I know some of you asked about that, and so we might address that in an email to everybody at some point. But I forget where I was going with that. Where was I going, Ted? Anybody?
Thankful for people buying ingredients.
Oh yes, I'm thankful for people buying ingredients. I'm thankful for all of you, but those of you buying ingredients, it definitely helps keep this thing going really well. But everybody, what could really help keep this going and make this amazing is just share it with your friends. The more people we have, then the lower we can keep the cost. And we're looking at volume now and trying to put a lot of people on the classes so we can keep the cost down. There you have it. So share it with your friends, tell them on Facebook, Instagram and whatnot. We've got people from all over. Let's check our timer one more time. So that was what, 5, 8, 11? Okay. So I'm starting to get a little bit of browning. It's really light on this side. And so that's now where and there's a little bit of browning on top. So I'm going to go ahead and flip them. All right. So once you see a little brown, flip it around. Let's check the bottom real quick. No burning on the bottom. So looking really good. So this next timer is going to be for 5 minutes. Okay. Back at it. We have your onion. We're going to take your onion and let's go ahead and get your peppers off. I'm going through the knife there. Come through and put your peppers back on the tray. Organize all your ingredients very, very nicely. Helps cooking easier. Now, your onion, as you've seen before, cut that darn thing off. Cut that off. Cut the other end off. All right. And peel it. Okay. And all that stuff out of the way. Peel it. Clean your cutting board up a little bit. Oh, that was my secret spot that people couldn't see, Ted. But with your camera angle, you can see my secret trash. Oh, there you go. See, it's like it's gone. It's like it's gone. Oh, there's my trash. I love it. Okay. So here we're gonna dice. So we're gonna cut straight up and down. This is called the chopping. You hear that? That's a chopping sound. And I'm keeping it connected right there. We will do knife skills class again for those of you who missed it. I can show you how all that works. Once you get it cut, it's being held together a little bit. Just a little bit at the end. You can open that up, see just right there. That's where it's held together. I'm going to turn it and cut it all the way through. One of a nice small dice. You'll get to the end, where the end is just kind of like this chunk, and you have to rough that thing up and get it to match the rest of your stuff. Okay, and then your other half, I'm gonna do that one too. I'm trying to slow down for y'all because I was told I cut too fast and you can't keep up. So take my knife skills class and get faster. That's my answer. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'll slow down. It's fine. It's fine. Ow! Just kidding. I didn't cut myself. But I shouldn't do that. I should play because next thing you know, I will cut myself.
And it'll be on recording.
It'll be recording, and it'll be a good one too. So it will be a good one. There's my onion.
Blooper reel.
Yeah. All right. And then the last thing we're going to cut is this chorizo sausage. So this has a casing on it, but it's an edible casing. But so you can try to take it off if you want to. That would be a psychotic pain in the rear for you. So I wouldn't. I mean, if some of it's coming off easy, that's fine. Natural casing. You should be able to eat it. But if it's going to come off, actually that came off a lot easier than I expected. So my secret trash pile. And here we're just going to cut it. This one, this was round. Anytime something is round and wants to slide around, take the heel of your hand and put it down. So when it's round, put your heel down, hold it nice and firm. We're going to cut the flat spot. Now, it'll be more safe. And we're just going to dice this. Dessert smells good. I guarantee some of you will not have dessert will end up being eaten before the entree is finished. Shame on you. You're smelling it like I am, and you're thinking, I'm going to eat one of this as soon as that baby comes out of the oven. You're going to burn your mouth if you do. You have to let it cool a little bit before you eat it. But I guarantee it. I guarantee that some of you will not. There's one more thing to cut. Will not make it all the way. So, get all that cutting board. Sausage. Find a hole. And the last thing is the garlic. The garlic, take the little end off, take that off. I'm gonna shave that guy off right there. I'm gonna do it to all of them that I have. And then I am gonna smash them, so I'm gonna take my knife and put it flat, slide my knuckles off the cutting board so my knife can get flat. I'm gonna put my garlic right there. I'll smash. Cutting board's off the edge. There we go. Ready? They're not done. They're very close to done. You got some nice golden brown around the edges. Let's flip the other. It's really hot. Okay, it's starting to get a little dark on the bottom. So I feel comfortable with about maybe a minute and a half, and then maybe let's do 2. Just 2 minutes, and those are done. Then your garlic is, I'm just going to cut it in thin strips. Now it's smashed, cut it in thin strips. All right, how are you doing on your cutting and chopping? Let me know before I start the next thing. Okay, let me know in the Q&A, because Ted is over here with the camera. He can't see chat room. Right? So turn your garlic and we're going to cut through one more time. So let me know in the Q&A if you're tracking with me or if you're way behind. I like to just kind of see where we're at before I start, kind of getting into the big cooking part. Okay, Liz, you start chopping garlic, but you won't be long then. Because that's your last thing? Is everybody else about done? Okay, Angie's done. Cool. All right. Cut everything. Yes, everything is cut. I'm going to get rid of my cutting board, clean up my area. Go ahead and clean up your area. All right. Jim, y'all are doing great. Hey, because Jim said he's doing great because he's thanks to knife skills, which he's done before. Suzanne, Ed, you're all ready to start cooking. Excellent. So I'll get this out of the way. I don't know about you, but when I get done, I like my kitchen to be cleaned up. That's why I have a wife. See, because we're virtual, you can't get mad at me, or you can't be like, oh, and give me a hard time, ladies, because I guess you can in the Q&A. If you want to give me a hard time for that comment, go ahead. I was really just kidding. Really, I was just kidding. Heather's not in the chat, is she? Ted, she'll still love. Yeah. I did send her the link though, so she could have been in the chat. So that could have been true. All right, dessert is ready. Timer off. Oven's turning the oven off as well. They smell and they look so good. They're a nice light golden brown. There's no burning up on the top, and the bottom got a little dark, but it's not going to be bitter. So that's good. They're actually in a really good spot. I'm glad I double panned it because I think the bottom would have been really dark if I hadn't double panned it. But that's hot. I'm going to set it aside and let those things cool. The next thing I need is my burner. Oh, and to recommend that. Let's start with you. Gotcha. Hug your kids. Yes. Everybody, hug your kids. That's such a great reminder right now. Everyone, hug your kids because you know what? They need it. They definitely need it. And I happen to have a Lodge paella pan. There we go. I'm always trying a different camera position. So here we go. This is a paella pan from Lodge Manufacturing. Do you know I love Lodge yet? Come on. But here's a couple other things you're going to need. So you're going to need, so this is what a lot of home cooking sets come with. This is what we call a sauteuse. A sauteuse is a skillet with straight sides. A sautoir is one with curved sides. So this would be considered a sautoir that has curved sides. Then a sauteuse has got straight sides. So you could use something like this if you would like. This is what we typically use in class because I only have one paella pan, and you need one with a nice fitting lid. Right? So that's what you need. So I just showed you that. Also have the Lodge, the deep skillet. The deep skillet work great. I don't have, actually, I'm lying. I do have a lid that fits it. It's the same one that fits a paella pan also fits this one. But if you don't have a lid, like say you have one of these big Lodge deep skillets. If you don't have a lid, you can take a sheet pan and you got a lid for later. Okay, so that's how that works. But I'm going to go ahead and use the paella pan. I've not used it very much. So I'm going to turn again, we're going to put your heat on, and we're going to start at like more of a low to medium-ish heat so that the pan can start getting hot all the way through without getting hot spots. So I had my pan a little too hot to begin with. I didn't realize that I had turned on high heat and left it there. But so you need that. And then what else? You need probably a bowl or two to put a few things in. So Dutch oven, yeah, so the Dutch oven, you can totally use a Dutch oven. Here's what you need to know about what's going to happen right now is the pan you pick, a lot of it depends on how much you're making. And so the volume that I'm making is probably a little, like I'm doing the serves two, the servings of two. And so this pan's a little bit too big. It's a little overkill. And so I'm going to have to use a little extra water or a little extra stock because it's going to cook way a lot faster than if I use something smaller. And if I use like that silver skillet that I was showing you, that stuff. Okay. And so this one, my pan is smoking really nicely because I seasoned it earlier. And so just know that if you're using a Dutch oven, the height won't hurt you at all. But if it's a really big one, you might need more liquid later when you're cooking your rice. Or if it's a smaller one, then you'd be just fine. Okay. So Amy's asking at the end, will you show us how to clean a cast iron grill pan? Well, it just so happens, Amy, I will show you how to care for all of your cast iron during this 3-part Lodge cast iron cooking class that we're doing starting the first Saturday in June. You like that plug? I know. Don't be mad at me. I mean, you can be mad at me if you want to for not doing it right now. But Lodge, we're doing a 3-part series. I'm actually going to cook some recipes out of one of their cookbooks for one of the classes. And then we're going to do a menu that none of you have probably seen because it's a special menu. We're going to do like a French classical menu. And we're going to do an Asian menu. I think we're going to do like a hibachi Asian habit. Let me show you how to do all these different things out of cast iron. It's going to be great. So you said you'll be there. Yeah. Yeah, but I want to tell them about that. I want to come to my class. Okay, so what Ted was saying is Lodge has a really fantastic, like, how to care for your cast iron section on their website and stuff. But I'll just show you in my class. I thought we were friends. I thought he understood what we were trying to do here. And he's like my wife. He just sabotaged me completely. And so, I'm doing all this talking right now just so my pan can heat up, right? This is what's going on right now. This is called filler, so my pan can heat up. Take a drink. Bring your BYO cast iron to a cooking class. And we'll take care of it. We should think about that. We should do a cast iron one-on-one class because I love them so much. All right, get out your recipe because we're going to need it. There's a lot of ingredients. And so the paella. So are you ready to cook? Is your pan on? Is it hot? Mine's definitely on. Mine is definitely hot. And I'm ready to start cooking. Are you ready to start cooking? 1, 2, 3, let's go. Ready? So it says to cook paella. It says to cook the chicken with oil and sear it in a paella pan. So here's my chicken. All right, so I'm going to do a little oil. Okay, I'm going to get my salt and pepper a little closer. Oil, a little salt, a little pepper. Again, this is one of those cooking principles that I do in all my cooking, really, is anytime I have a raw protein, I like to put some fat and salt and pepper on it directly. I mean, like to touch this protein, whatever protein I'm doing, and so I can see exactly where all the salt and pepper is, where the oil is, and make sure it is coating. And then when it goes in the pan, you should hear that beautiful, beautiful sizzling sound, okay? If you don't hear the sizzle, take your food out and let your pan get hot. Because in order to saute something, we have to do 3 steps. And you know them people who have been with me before, but there's new people. So I'm going to tell you. You do it in we do saute in 3 steps. You first heat the pan, which we've been doing. And then you heat the fat. So the fat I actually put on the meat this time. Then you heat the food. Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. We have a dance. I'm not going to do it for you tonight. We'll do it again, though. Don't worry. So get rid of that guy. So my chicken is in here. It's sizzling away. And then the next step, we're just going to go to the next step. It says to add the sausage and brown. Okay, so look at this pan. I got all this real estate. This is what's beautiful about cast iron. A lot of times they're a little bit bigger than your normal pan. You have all this real estate you can use. So my pan is hot. I'm going to add a little fat to my pan right there. And then I'm going to take my sausage and put it in. Okay, little onions are going to go with it just because they got really close together on my tray. Won't hurt a thing. But you put your sausage in there. We're just going to get a little bit of color on it. Now the sausage is already red. So it's going to be really hard to see color, but you'll be able to feel it. And you'll be able to see it. It's getting a little crispy on the outside. Because what we're looking for is the Maillard reaction. We're looking for like this caramelization. Let's see if I can get them like that. Do you see that brown stuff in there? Okay. That is flavor. So what we're trying to accomplish right now is 2 things. Number 1 is, 3 things. I'm trying not to choke on the smoke. That's one of them. Let me step back. I'm like right over top of this. So number 1 is what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to get some flavor in the pan. So see how there's like some, I don't know if you can see in this camera, but you can see like a little browning and stuff down here. We're trying to actually get some brown stuff stuck to the bottom of the pan called the fond. And so you want all that brown stuff. It's great flavor and you want it. Another thing we're trying to do is this. We're trying to get flavor on the food. So that nice browning right there is called the Maillard reaction. Right, so what the Maillard reaction is just a little cooking science for you, right? Is basically on a protein, when it's a starch, it's different because a starch has sugar in it, and so that's a different process, but they relatively get to the same end result. So the Maillard reaction is where the food heats up to a temperature where you evaporate all the moisture of the surface here that was touching the pan. That surface heated up to a temperature where the moisture was gone, and once the moisture was gone, it allowed a chemical reaction to happen. All the breaking down of the amino acids inside the chicken or inside the protein, and the amino acids and different molecules, they start to move. They break out of their chemical bonds and start bonding up with other things, and you kind of get this breaking down of amino acid into sugars, and then the sugars caramelize and turn into this really pretty brown color, but also a really nice flavor. And that's what we're looking for, like that browning caramelized flavor in our on the food. And so right now, your chicken will not be cooked all the way. You with me? It can still be raw right now. Totally fine. So take your chicken out, put it into a bowl, because I've accomplished my goal. I've got brown on the chicken, and I've got brown stuck in the bottom of the pan. Goal is achieved. And the same thing with my sausage. The sausage can go right there in that pan in the same bowl. Okay. So the next step is just add the shrimp, and we'll saute the shrimp for so we get a little bit of color and everything on it as well. So pull that out. Little tip. Even still, I've been cooking for 20-something years, and I still want to do this and just set my stuff down. But it's just gonna get hot, and it's gonna melt the plastic, and so don't do any of that. So we're gonna take our shrimp. Now your shrimp, when it thaws, see it's got a bunch of water in there. The water can be dangerous for you, so pour the water off. Okay, I know it happened. It just happened to at least one more person. I was pouring it off in the trash can, and the shrimp fell off. So I just got it. I did. I just picked it out because I know what was in there. I just put it, and when it fell on was a piece of paper. Is that okay? So Nick, don't add I'll tell you when you add the mussels if you're doing mussels, okay? All right, so a little fat on there, a little salt, a little pepper, and get that all stirred up. Now, the reason why I asked you to pour the extra water off is because when you add water, oil and hot water don't mix. They'll start splashing and making all kinds of it'll start splashing all over you. So I didn't want to cause you any burns. So I'm going to put my shrimp in there, and then I'm going to put this little pan away to get washed. Now I might dip my tongs in sanitizer because that was raw meat I just used. So that's happened. Now then, let's read on. It says add the shrimp, and we're going to cook it for a couple minutes and take it out of the pan. So and we're going to do that, and then after that, it says add the onion and bell pepper and saute until soft. So let's do that. I have all this real estate, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some fat on this other side, let it get hot, and go ahead and add my onions. Yeah. There we go. Onions, peppers. Right. So the shrimp, just getting a little flavor on one side. Look at that nice browning. And then we'll get a little color on the other side. And your shrimp will still be raw too. Totally okay right now for that to be the case. Ted's coming. He's going to get some close-ups for you. Is anybody having any problems you need some help with? Okay, let me know in the Q&A, and I'll help. And then let me know if you want to raise your hand. We can do that too. So my shrimp's got some color on it. My shrimp is ready to come out. Now, shrimp's out. Open this, get wide open here. I'm going to turn my heat all the way up. Hear the sizzle. Smell the smells. We're all smelling them together. I know one of the things I really enjoy about this is that we're all cutting together. We are all smelling the same smells and aromas and hearing the same sights and sounds. And the only thing I'm not is I'm not in your kitchen. I mean, I am in your kitchen on your device. And so thank you for welcoming me into your kitchen. And let's continue this cooking. Little paella. So you want to cook your onions until they onions and peppers until they soften somewhat nicely. Like I got this big onion right here. He's still kind of crispy looking. And so I'm going to cook them for another minute. Okay, that's smelling pretty nice. So the things you're learning tonight, I mean, the Maillard reaction is very good to know. Your onions, in order for them to fully release their flavor, they really need to soften and turn clear. And so let's get this guy. Ooh, he's hot. He's hot. So hot. So yeah, you can see. I think you see okay. He's still pretty white. And so you're looking for him to get more like, see the one I want. This one, you can see, you can almost see my skin color through it. And so this one's starting to get a little clear. This one's still nice and white. So just cook for another 30 seconds. And then we're gonna get ready to do the next step. The next step, it says to deglaze. So we're on step number 4. Is add the onion and bell pepper. Check. Saute until soft. Almost check. Then we're going to deglaze with the white wine. If you're not sure which one is the white wine, just smell, taste. That one's definitely the white wine. I have white wine, I have lemon juice, and I have chicken stock. I have 3 different things. And so when we get ready to deglaze, if there's anything stuck to the bottom of the pan, hard to see on cast iron, but I've got food stuck right there and right there, some good stuff. And I want that. I want it. And so I want it off the pan in the rest of my dish. So I'm going to take this white wine and you may want to step back and then pour it all in at one time. And that steam is going to come up. So get your face out of the way so you don't get a steam burn, and let all that alcohol cook off. And so a little story about paella. So paella was, it was created in like the northern-ish region, if I remember correctly. And what happened is when paella was first created, it was actually all mammals. It was all just meat, like pork and chicken and things like that. And so it was all meat. But then, hold that thought. The next step, once you add the garlic, once you add the wine, while wine is almost gone, don't let it all go away. And you're going to add the tomatoes right here. Tomatoes. And you're going to add the paprika. Sounds like a plan. You're going to add the garlic. And so as many dishes develop, someone ate paella in one region and took it back to their region. And they added things that, like you're doing right now. Some of you are adding things that you have at home that just because it's what you got. And so the recipe becomes a little different. And that's where seafood got introduced. And when it got introduced, and then you have some paella that's all meat, some paella that is all seafood. And it became really more popularly known just for having a lot of seafood in it. And then you have this paella, which is the Andalus, and that is in reference to a mixture of both. And so the word always following the paella will kind of tell you what region or what kind of or what it is. And so now we add the tomatoes and the paprika and the garlic, and we cook till aromatic. I'm there. And then it says to add the rice and cook for a minute. It might be a little bit longer. We'll see. If you want your rice, so add your rice in. Make sure your rice gets in contact with the pan. So stir it around so you get some rice in contact with the pan. I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. I was on high, and so I want to turn it down and just slow the cooking a little bit so we can get a little color, a little toasting on our rice grain. Yes, and so this particular recipe, when I found it, I didn't realize that it came from a heavy Muslim population region, and since they don't drink, there was no wine in the recipe. And honestly, it's just a lot better with wine, so I had to go back and add wine to the recipe. And there's nothing wrong with cooking without wine. I just think it's better if we put a little in there. And I think you're gonna agree. So we have our rice, and you want your rice again to touch this bottom of this pan, and so that it can get some really high heat. So I'm using carnaroli rice is what I have, or you could have bought arborio rice. So there's 3 different types of risotto rice that you can use for risotto. You have carnaroli, which is the highest level, arborio, which is probably what you have used before. Caitlin, Marshall, you do not cook the shrimp all the way through. It doesn't matter. If you cook them all the way through, it's fine. But you don't have to cook the shrimp all the way through right now. We'll cook them later. So you have carnaroli, then you have arborio, and I can't remember the third one. All 3 can be used for risotto. But the middle one, the arborio rice, is very popular. You'll see it in the grocery stores and stuff called risotto rice. If you see a little container that says risotto rice, it's probably arborio rice. But I use carnaroli, which is a little bit higher grade rice for this. And what makes it so beautiful is this rice grain, it loves high heat. So you can crank the heat up, and that high heat helps to bring the starch out of the grain. This starch is really deep inside the rice grain, different than white rice and different than basmati and other types of rice. And so it likes high heat, and it'll use that high heat to pull the starch out of the middle of the grain. So I probably, that dry heat now has toasted my rice grain a little bit. Let's see if I can get you a good picture. It's just got tomato in it, so you might not be able to see it. But yeah, let me see. I don't think the camera is going to pick it up, Ted. But it's time to add the next thing. So we're gonna keep going. So it says stir in the herb blend, which is really just half of your parsley right now. You put half your parsley in, and you're gonna do your saffron. We're gonna talk about that. And it says add your chicken stock too. So here again, get ready to lean back a little bit. So Nick, does all the wine need to cook off before adding other ingredients? No, you don't want to cook your wine until it's dry. You want to have a little bit left so that you have some of the flavor of the wine left. Now my pan's really hot. I'm going to add all that. A liquid, it's possible for it to steam up really bad and burn you. So I want that to happen to you. Oh, look at that. I am going to add a pinch of salt right now, just a pinch, a pinch of pepper, and then we're going to add our, I'm going to turn my heat up all the way to high now as well. Okay, so my heat's going to go all the way up. I'm going to bring this to a simmer to allow this to come to a boil. Okay, this right here, saffron. This is a difference maker in our recipe today. So saffron is when you look at a flower and a flower opens up and you have like these little things sticking out of the middle of it, the fronds that stick out. The saffron is the little fronds from the crocus plant, and it is the most expensive spice in the world by weight. So if you weight it, it's the most expensive because there's no mechanical way to harvest it. And so in order to get it, it is hand harvested. Like all the little fronds are like hand plucked out of this plant, and then it's dried, and you get saffron. And so it's just a really beautiful thing. But here's what's neat about saffron and neat about cooking is sometimes you get flavor in your mouth. Different spots you have the 5 areas of your mouth. You get flavors. You have the salty, the sweet, the bitter, spicy, and sour. And there's different places in your mouth that receive those. And then, but then you have this guy, the nose. And so saffron, you won't actually taste saffron. It's not something you taste, but it's something that you smell. Okay. So Angie, I see your question. Have you added the water yet? I have not added the water yet. The water is just for adjusting. And so I added my stock, and so what's going to happen is when I get the rice to the right spot, Angie, and for everybody else, I just added my chicken stock. I haven't added my water. So a lot of times I add water to a recipe and have it there, and sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't. And so here's how we'll know. We'll get the rice to the right spot, and if it's not done, then I'll add a little bit of water to help finish it off. And we'll walk through that when we get there, okay? But back to the saffron. Saffron, again, you won't taste it. What you'll do is you'll smell it. And so when you're cooking it, you'll smell the saffron. It's going to be beautiful and amazing. As soon as you put it in, all of a sudden, your whole room is just going to light up, okay? But it's not lit up by the cooking we're doing. It's going to light up from that saffron, okay? And then what also is going to happen is when you're bringing that spoon or a fork of paella to your mouth, you're going to smell that saffron before it gets to your mouth. And so you're going to have this smell that takes over your senses before the food even gets to your mouth. And that's what makes it beautiful. So saffron going in. Okay? Saffron is in every little frond. You see, right? There's some left in the bottom. Get them out. Okay. Robert, did you add the chicken and sausage back to the pan yet? Okay. No, but you know what? Let's do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just the chicken and sausage back to the pan, and I'm going to leave the shrimp behind. If I put the shrimp in now, they'll get way overcooked. So I'm just going to add the shrimp. Oh, heck, just put the shrimp in a different bowl. Don't fight it. I'll try not to have to wash that bowl later, but I'm going to have to wash that bowl later. Okay. So chicken and sausage is going in. All the juice going in too. I'm going to check my burner. My burner seems like it's getting a little low on me. No. Big pan, little burner. All right. So what are the questions? Yes, Patty. Where were you? The tomatoes went in a while ago. If you missed it, go ahead and put them in now, Patty. But the tomatoes went in. The tomatoes went in with step 5, with that and the garlic. Should have been paying attention, Patty. I'm just kidding. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Patty. Patty's wonderful, and she set me up with her friend who. Can I tell him that? I hope so. And that not set me up. I'm married. Not that kind of setup. But with a lady who did a really nice article on us. So we should be coming up. I'm not sure when. I haven't got those details yet. But featured in the Edge magazine, and so that's pretty exciting. I want to thank you a lot for doing that. Okay, so my saffron is in. Are you full of joy? Like, can you smell it? And the June issue. All right, yes, June issue. That'd be fantastic. Thanks for the input. All right, let's see what we have left. We have lemon juice. My tongue's out of the way. This out of the way. All right, kind of clean it up a little bit. Make yourself some space. You're gonna need it. Then we have lemon juice, peas, a little bit of parsley. I'm gonna probably put a little bit more parsley in there. I have way too much left. Okay. You want to leave just a little bit of parsley for garnish. Lemon juice, parsley, a lemon wedge, and the water if we need it. Okay. So here's what you want to do. Grab, get a spoon. All right, get a spoon, and I want you to see something. Okay, so look in here. Do you see when I scrape this spoon, how slowly it closes? Okay, that means there's actually some sauce in here. Where'd the sauce come from? Well, the sauce came from the water, the boiling water, pulling the starch out of this carnaroli rice. See that? When I do that, see how you can see the pan for a minute. It doesn't close up. The Red Sea, the Israelites are almost able to cross the Red Sea. And so that means that I need to check my rice grain. So I'm going to take some rice grain, blow on it. Okay, it's still pretty crunchy. So I need to add the water. Here's some water. But what's happening now is when you see, basically when I can scrape and it doesn't, it doesn't close up immediately, that means all that's in there is just starch. There's actually no liquid. There's no water. And so if my rice grain isn't done, I need to add some water to help get it cooking. So I added some water. And it'll depend for you. This is why I want to teach you some of the cooking things, what to look for. So we're looking for, the rice grain to be done by the time we get to the bottom where it's kind of thick, all right? And so, Patty, the mussels only take a couple minutes to cook. I'll let you know about the mussel part, so just hold on tight, okay? Hold on tight to the mussels. And so here I want to teach you how to cook. Like, if your pan is a lot smaller, you may not need to add water because your moisture stayed in, but since mine is bigger, more surface area, that means mine's evaporating much faster. And so I had to add a little bit of water to mine to get my rice to cook. So we're just going to sit here and cook. And y'all, this is going to be unheard of, but we're going to end early tonight, I think. Yeah, do you see the time? It's crazy. Never happens. Yeah, I thought because I thought this class would go over in time, but we're doing really good. Huh? You're going to play Powerball? Oh, I follow it. Okay, hey, I'll go with you. I mean, of course, at 6 feet distance. By the way, Ted, we are 6 feet apart or more, relatively. Right, Ted? Okay. Oh, hi. Hello. You can see our setup. I do have pants on. True. Fully dressed in my chef wears. Well, I hope you're enjoying this. We've had some classes that are just like nonstop, and there's no downtime. We've had a little bit of downtime in this one. So cheers to that. Let's get in here. I'm going to switch to a wooden spoon, and I'm going to check. Actually, I'm going to get this one back out. See how my rice grain is doing. Everyone, check your rice grain. You want it to be firm, al dente, which means firm, and you can bite through it easily, but just a little bit of firmness as you bite through. Okay, my rice grain is done. Now what I need to do is, you could eat just like this. You could eat this just like this. But I'm gonna go ahead and put my peas in, let them start to get hot through. But one of the neat things about paella is, let me ask you, are you risky? Are you living on the edge? You wanna live on the edge with me tonight? Like the edge. You wanna live the edge? Let's jump off together. Ted, you in? Living on the edge. How's the song go? I need to get the beat in. The edge. Living on the edge. Okay, Jim is in. All right, if you're living on the edge, we're gonna try to get a crust. So actually, paella it's like a group dish. It's a family dish. That's why paella is usually made in a larger pan, like this one, even bigger. They have like big paella pans, like huge things, right? And so you would actually finish it in the oven or like a really hot fire, and you would you take because what you want to do is you want to get your paella to this point where most of the liquid. So we're gonna have like half of some authenticness going on, because when you have a large amount, you still have liquidy, like liquid in the middle, but the bottom and the sides would start to kind of, like if you stop stirring it, the bottoms and the side would start to burn a little bit and get crispy. And that's what we want. But what's going to happen in order to get that when you have a small amount, so I have a small amount of food here. And so in order to get that to happen with a small amount of food, it means like all my liquid's going to be gone. So you have to decide if you want yours to have a little bit of liquid or not. But if I scrape this over, okay, see, it's starting to just kind of like start to stick a little bit at the bottom. And this is where if you wanted to do it in your oven, you could, but I want to do it all on the stove top with us tonight so you can see. All right, and if you start to listen, start to hiss a little bit, like the sizzle is going away, the bubbling sound's going away, and you're going to get this hissing because it's actually starting to stick at the bottom. Once it starts to stick, just leave it there. We're going to go on the edge of burning. Okay, it's not sticking over here just yet, but it's sticking a lot right here. Let's just see. And you want it to stick. You want that bottom layer to get crusty. All right, that's what makes it really good. Really good. Get crusty. And now, if you've got here's your shrimp and your mussels. Are you listening to me, mussel people? Not the. Okay, I'm losing audio. Someone's calling me probably. I'm good. Okay. So if you got not these mussels, the other kind of mussels. Here's the rule with your mussels. You want to take your mussels, squeeze them, and they should go, and they should close up. So mussels, for them to be safe to eat, you need to squeeze them, and if they move a little bit, they're alive. Okay, so we're going to see that they'll move on their own, and if they move on their own, they're alive. You can keep them. So they need to close before you cook them. And then after you cook them, they need to be open. Okay? Close before, open after. That means they're safe. If they're open before and they won't close, that means it's dead. It's not safe. Don't eat it. And so you'll put your mussels in right now. Mussels and shrimp. Put a lid on it. This is what's kind of cool. I don't usually have a glass lid, so I'm going to put my lid on there. So let's say a prayer. Lord Jesus, I pray that I don't burn the bottom, that I just get a beautiful, beautiful crust. Who said you can't pray all the time? You should pray all the time, even while you're cooking, if you're praying, people. Okay? My mom would always say, even before I knew the Lord, I'd call my mom with a problem. Hey, Mom, this girl, or this problem at work, or this problem with school, or whatever. And she'd be like, well, honey, you know what I think you should do? I'm like, well, what, Mom? What? She's like, you should pray about it. I'm like, okay. This is before I knew the Lord. So I was like, oh, yeah, pray about it, whatever. And it just became this thing. She's like, well, you know what I should do? I'm like, oh, yeah, Mom, what? You should pray about it? Yeah, I should pray about it. Yeah. I just give her the sarcasm. But now that I know the Lord, I'm like, yeah, you know what? We should pray about it. So, Kaya, I pray that you're just fantastic. Should be pray about the little things and the big things. Just pray all the time. Okay? Let's check it. Oh, Pipreia. As Ted says, let's do a Pipreia. All right. So my earpiece wants to fall into the paella. Let's see at the bottom. Oh, I got some sticking. I'm going to scrape the stuff off that will move. Look at that. Okay. Can you see that? I'm doing that just for you. You don't have to do that. But you see, like, I've piled all my stuff up, and this is the stuff that's sticking. And scrape it now and get some of that dark color off the bottom. I can let it go a little longer. Oh, yeah. That's what we're looking for. We're about to put this on a plate, y'all. Getting close. It's getting close. Our rice is done. Okay. So my crust is developed. It's got some brown in there. We'll go ahead and turn this off. Chicken is done. Shrimp is done. Shrimp doesn't take very long once you've covered it up like that. If you want to check your shrimp, go for it. Pick it up and take a look. Okay. Pick it up and make sure it's white all the way through. You don't see any like bluish in the middle. Check that. Your chicken and stuff should definitely be done. Here's where I'm going to add my lemon juice and give it what I really need. Yeah, it's like just wooden spoon, scrape the bottom. Let's stir that lemon juice in a little bit. And then I'm going to scrape the bottom. Get, see, I got a little piece there. I don't know if you can see some of the brown crusty in there from the bottom. Hold onto your pan tight and scrape. Get that good stuff in there. Like that. Okay, there it is. Let me get this guy. Can you see that? That's like a crusty bottom piece. Beautiful. That's what you want. There's a name for the crust, and I can't think of it right now. There's actually an official term for it. But look, good stuff right there. So we're going to take this and put it on a plate. Sakura, that's right. How you spell it? Okay. You want to type that in the chat? Yeah, there's a name for this. Sakura. The paella is going right on. It can go in a bowl, whatever you like. And I'd like to pull my shrimp out, pull some of my protein, kind of just show them off a little bit. Then you have your lemon. Lemon's not just for garnish. A lot of times people just think that you want to actually take and squeeze some of your lemon juice on there. Okay. Squeeze a little lemon, put that on. So I've got parsley to go on top. A little parsley. You know, wouldn't be bad. A little olive oil. Oh yeah. A little olive oil on there. Okay. Yeah. What's that? Okay. Okay. Hi, yeah, y'all. There you have it. Right there. Okay. Ted's gonna. Oh, he's doing. Does that have a rear camera on that tablet? Oh, now he tells me. Fantabulous. Fantabulous. So while he's got those going on. Okay. I'll tell you what. I love teaching. I hope you learned some principles tonight. But plate presentation is not my forte. I'm a sprinkler. I do a lot of sprinkling. I was never really good at the creativeness in plate presentation. So you get what you get. Okay. So now we've got these guys. I put a little sugar in the raw on there, and we're just gonna pile these things up on the plate. And this one, just ended up in my mouth. Do you have any left? Do any of these still exist in your house? Or are they all in your stomach? Please let me know. I'm interested to see how right or wrong. Well, I'm not wrong. The last time I was wrong, Ted, was it 1913? 1922. 1922 was the last time I was wrong. Oh, Heather would say the same thing. She says I'm never wrong. Yeah. My wife says I'm never wrong. Ever. Jim, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, you should probably share your camera because we don't believe you. Well, Ted? Well, everybody, I mean, I guess it's a good thing. We're ending a little early. I've never done this before. Have a nice night. Thank you. God bless you. And thank you for letting me be in your kitchen tonight.